So come on in, take a sip. Let's wind down. We got ourselves a Friday grid to hop into today, and I'm having my signature Italian bitter red and Prosecco normal Friday afternoon after a long day of work, long week of work, and I have all the energy in the world today because it's Friday all of a sudden, not dragging that third point of contact of mine like I was yesterday. But yes, come in, take a seat, and let's wind down. Let's see what we got in our grid today. So, okay, Friday, May 2nd, we have a Robyn Weintraub. Okay, that'll be nice. Edited by Will Shorts. We'll hop into it. And I really got to say, I'm so overwhelmed with subscribers. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for coming, hanging out, making more or less a solid commitment of our relationship. I really appreciate that very much. If you have a public channel, I subscribe right back. And I mean, I do because, you know, and I tend to watch your videos, figuring it's a partnership of sorts. But as we get ready to solve our grid, just keep in mind, I am openly recruiting. I'm looking for a small slate of guest solvers for that likely occasion that I may want to go on a vacation at some point. So shoot me an email. Let me know what your thoughts are. All right, so setting for Arthur Miller's The Crucible, and I do believe that is in Salem. And you're doing it all wrong. Stop. Imagine. SEAL team. I don't. Maybe a pod? Do they come in pods? Is it a pod of seals? Is it a pod of whales? I don't. Yeah, whatever. Seals, whales. All right. So river next to the Uffizi Gallery, and I'm assuming that would be the Arno. Just an assumption. I cannot say that I've ever been to the Uffizi Gallery. Gatsby or Hamlet? Put and then parenthetically laid down. So, impediment to collaboration. How about a big old fat ego? And this tells me out of Gatsby and Hamlet, we have a tragic hero. So, maybe we must check. Barely enough, maybe minimal? Minimal? Sides of circles, okay, good one. All right, coming out swinging with the clever. Sing like Perry Como or Mel Torme, and I think we're talking about crooning. Very nice. Fly me to the moon. Chloride and oxide for 2, about ions. We got a lot of ions creeping into the grid these days, do we not? They're just ions and ions and ions. No need to respond right now. I'll probably think it over, think over it, something like that. I don't know. We'll deal with that when we get something else. Well, blank, segue, maybe well then. Makes a snack of perhaps noshes on. And hiccups again, gosh. Bit of energy and of energy, erg. Natural incubators, got it. Okay, I feel better about all of that so far. So, fetes. Swedish actress Lena. How about Oline? And so fetes could be honors. And let's see, not settled could be open. So with that, we probably want to spell it correctly. These pesky grids like you to spell them correctly. Sci-fi remakes. What do you think? Maybe clones? Maybe clones. So we got celery seeds here. This is a tricky little grid is what we've got here today. Dolly of Hello Dolly, and I think that's Levi. I think. It may have pluses and minuses. Maybe a report card. Now, I don't know what 12 down is, but what do you bet it's Avery? Lincoln Center's former Avery Fisher Hall. I know, that was such a leap, wasn't it? Just proves my brilliance. Do you have anything to declare? Only my brilliance. Okay. Grouch could be a crab. Containers, airport security bins. I really hate that process. Oh, gosh. Even when you got all the super stuff. You got a business class ticket. You got all your crap taken care of. You're registered around the world and all of the TSA pre-check stuff and all the equivalents. You may just kind of go in, go out, you would think. Still, such a pain. And you're like me, carrying 2 laptops, an iPad. Yeah, just So I don't know. A walk in the park. The kid in here's looking at you, kid. All right, so maybe Ilsa. That really didn't come across as Bogart. They came across as Johnny Carson. That's weird, wild stuff. So I hear you're a tennis player. So sunfish feature could be a sail. Right. So a walk in the park. Oh no. I guess this could be a chi. Maybe a hike. Maybe. Merely watches without saying a word. Oh, so acts as a creeper. Got it. Lurks. Ugh. Bams, cracks, or dots in Mahjong. I haven't got a clue about anything about Mahjong. Don't know how any of it works. Or Sudoku, or Sudoku, or what happened. Don't know anything about it. But I bet it's a suit because 40 across looks like it might have an idea at the end. We can check that with the T. Aerosol output going with a miss today. And subsides, perhaps lessens. So yada yada yada. Maybe you get the idea. Yeah, I gotta check it. Oh. Never mind. No, I mean, I'm obviously not capable of spelling today. Land animal closely related to whales. Speaking of pods of whales, maybe we've got ourselves a hippo. I was reading about that once, and yeah, pretty amazing. Doesn't guzzle, could be sips. So I think we've still got the idea. And concrete example of rotational forces and fluid dynamics. Oh, maybe a cement mixer? I don't know. Is that an amazing offer or what? So how about how can I resist? I'm just gonna give up. Can I start all over again? How can I resist? It's been a long day. It's been a very, very long day. Concrete example. Yeah, I'm thinking this could really be a cement mixer. I mean, and by definition too, concrete example, okay, clever. Rotational forces and fluid dynamics. That's pretty cool. Titular male Shakespeare character whose name also appears in a Disney film. Anybody knows Shakespeare? We're talking about the life of Timon of Athens. But then I think we just got shortened somehow in the process to Timon of Athens. Transfix, maybe rivet. Rivet. Like straw baskets, perhaps woven. So no need to respond right now. Okay, so think it over. All right, that makes sense. All right, now literary bird with a one-word vocabulary. Apparently, quoth the raven. When I read that, I mean, I was a kid. It gave me dreams, I'm telling you. That was a crazy, crazy piece. Concerns of the Paycheck Fairness Act. I don't know. Probably wage something, and I imagine it's probably gaps, but I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, so you get the idea. The same thing I said earlier, but just was incapable of spelling for some reason. Same thing with How Can I Resist? I don't know what that was all about. Now I'm just completely embarrassed. If that was even possible. Many a UNESCO site, probably a ruin. I'm talking about ruins, Brian. Brian, I'm talking about ruins. Malaysian state or island. I need a little bit more than that. What do we got on the crosses here? To nobody's, as expected. So, you ever just see the word? You see it there. You know, it's got. You know, you've got the X and the P and E. You're like, oh yeah, I know, but how's it gonna begin? You know, as expected. Got it. Buckets. How about a ton? I've never used those types of terms, you know, scads or buckets. I would have just said a ton, right? You know, or loads, maybe something like that. Didn't give away. Maybe held. Poke bowl delicacy. Well, of course, got ahi. Yum yum yum. Every month has one. Beware the Ides of May. And didn't give away. So maybe held. Wires say sends Mandy Patinkin's role in Evita, and I do believe that was Shay. Think categorized narrowly, maybe to be pigeonhole. Pigeon. Super Monkey Ball brand, and I guess Sega? I've never even heard of Super Monkey Ball. Note to self, look up Super Monkey Ball. If they don't make it anymore, see how much they're going for on eBay and buy one. Early instruction in canine obedience school. Probably not going to be sick. Probably going to be sit. We'll get to the sicken. We'll get to sicken them then later. Sickeming? 1 of 12 on a euro coin. I've probably got €6 worth in my pocket right now. I'm going to star here. And yes, as expected, we have wage gaps. Shallow and pedantic. Malaysian state or island? I don't know. Maybe Penang? I have no idea. Shawarma, wrap, pita. They might be red or blonde, perhaps ales. Much of northern Arkansas, the Ozarks. Lived there. We lived in Fayetteville for about a year and a half, something like that. Nice. It's a piece of work. Maybe a task. Sikorsky or Stravinsky. No, actually fans of both Igors. And so now we got legal tender. And Malaysian state, island, or island, I think it's Penang. And if you've never seen their flag, it's blue and yellow. It's this really cool design, kind of this fleur in there. It's very nice. I'm a total flag nerd, but clearly big fan of the Union Jack, probably. That's the one I think is the coolest looking one. Best someone, but just barely. So maybe win by a nose. By a nose. And now we got somebody lazy. Well, that's some claim there. Lazier. And titular female Disney character whose name also appears in a Shakespeare play. Yes, and I guess we're talking about Ariel. And I think that's an E. I don't know. Crushed as a test. Yeah, I'd be aced. So unchecked would be a muck. Do something of interest. Maybe we're lending. Uh-oh, Oreos, got it. And modern car accessory would be a fob. 1 of 2 for 1, maybe a half. And Well, I hope I didn't fat finger something. I was not exactly typing well today. So, how did we do, Bob? Well, Bob, I guess we didn't do too terribly bad. This was not an easy puzzle. Granted, it's a Friday, and we expect them to be much more difficult by the time we get to Friday, and Saturdays should usually leave us either stunned at how beautiful and well constructed or stunned at just how challenging they were, right? And this really hit the mark. Robyn Weintraub, fantastic work. Beautiful grid you have built here. I had nothing to even make fun of. There was nothing. It was nothing. I couldn't even have a laugh at your work. It was just, the only thing that I laughed at was just the absolute cleverness that was going on in it. That was just so very well constructed. I can't wait to read your notes on the grid. And again, Robyn, brava, very well done. We'll go ahead and bring down our bannière d'adieu. And remember, you might just be the next guest solver for when it's time for me to go on vacation. I know that Ninja Waluigi has got an interest in it, and there's a couple of others who I've talked to about it. But please do reach out and let me know if that's something of interest to you, because we'll go through training or whatever. We'll just talk through it. It's probably not going to be as hard as you think it is, and the expectation is not tremendous, right? Just do the grid. That was all it would be. Just do the grid, and if you get stuck somewhere, and maybe it's not clicking with you, like what the answer is, maybe you actually Google and show us how you would Google the answer, right? Where you come up with the answer, that kind of thing, But the idea is for us to be able to continue solving while I may be away and with very limited access to Wi-Fi, like a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, right? So, that said, until we see you next time, ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss, Servus, Grüß Gott, Ciao, Cin-Cin, und ein schönes Wochenende. Be well to your friends and your family, but be especially kind to the strangers behind you in line. We could all use some of that. Cheers.